Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to look at the 1 to 5 player game Architects of the West Kingdom, published by Garfield Games and Renegade Games. So let's go ahead down to the table here. I'm going to give you a general overview, just a general overview of how to play the game, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to give you my final thoughts. Okay, so this is what a typical setup of Architects of the West Kingdom might look like. Now, a couple things to note on here, that these little trays don't come with the game. This is from the Go 7 insert. And I set it up for all 5 players, but you only see 2 players out, and that's just because of being able to see them on the screen. Now, to start out the game, you're going to set up the board as seen here. Then you're also going to select one of your characters. As if this is your first character, or if this is your first time playing the game, you're going to pick this side. Otherwise, you might pick this side, and it has a asymmetric ability here that you can see that each player has a little different. But if it's your first time playing, you're going to just play with this side. You're also going to give the player every single one of their workers. So they go here. The first player is going to get 3 silver, second players can get 4, and so on. You will also get 3 of these cards. And before the game starts, you're going to take a look at these, pick one, and put the rest back. Now, a couple of different things with these cards to note is that here is the resources required, and this icon here is the worker, which if you look at these workers over here, they have little icons on here. You're going to have this worker in order to build this building. And this is the benefit down on the bottom. And this is the amount of points it's worth at the end of the game. At the end of the game, you're going to score points, and this is going to be your little cheat sheet on how the points are scored. And the person with the most points at the end of the game wins. So you're really paying attention to all the different ways that you can score points. You'll notice there's no score track. So points are calculated at the end of the game. And you're going to do that in a multiple different ways. We're going to talk. Now, this is a unique worker placement game because you have all your workers to start out with. You don't gain more workers. You don't do anything to have more workers. You just have your workers at the beginning. And you're going to be putting them at different spots on the board each turn. Now, you could go places like the silversmith. So here, you would gain 1 silver for putting 1 worker there. But then the next turn you put a second worker there, you're now going to get 2 silver. And then you do it again, and you get 3 silver. And the same thing for the wood forest. You go down here, you'll get 1 wood. You put another worker here, you get 2 wood. Same for the quarry, you get more and more stone. Mines, you get more bricks. The more workers you have down, you'll get more gold at the mines. And that is a unique mechanism where it encourages you to try to use the same place more often to get more stuff. Now, there's a trick to that. Another player can come here. Now, in this game, if you see it's red coin, it means you lose it. Silver or regular coin, you pay it in a tax, and then this is a regular payment. Tired. So tax, regular. So if you go here, you can capture a group of workers of 1 color and all of them in that location. So if I go here and I capture these greens, they're going to go in my little capture place on my board. Now, you can capture your own workers, and they don't go into that space. They go right back into your pool, and you could do that because you're going to start running out of workers on the board. And then in a later action, so these workers here are not able to be used by that player currently, unless they do something. You can go here and gain some money for turning in all these workers for doing bad things. So you'll get 1 coin per worker that you've released into the prison. You can also pay to have your workers released from here. Now, the big thing with this spot here, if you look down here, is you can end up getting these cards here, which are bad. They're going to hurt you on this track, and they're going to hurt you in game points. And you can get that from a couple different ways. You can get that for taking the taxes. You can get that for going to the black market. And you could get it from triggering this when you have 3 people in the black market, or if a worker is placed in the guild hall in the leftmost space. Now, this doesn't have to be all your worker. These little spots mean 1 worker, so this would trigger the black market to be recycled. And at that point, you're going to look at that little chart there, and you're going to get punished for having your workers there. Now, the reason this track's so important is because it's points at the game too. So you can see these are negative points and these are positive points. You get benefits from going to the black market. You get the small market, which is going to be your marble and your stone, which these are really hard to get. And you got your large black market here, and you can do a couple other things there. But the big point is that when you're using the black market, you're going to go down in this track here, and you get benefits of like not having to pay taxes necessarily because you're not a good guy. But the main detriment is that you're not going to be able to build the cathedral. And if you're too good, you can't go to the black market, obviously. So if you're too high up in this track, you won't be able to use the black market. Now, when you use this cathedral here, or you build a building, you're going to have to, and these are, like I said, these would be the buildings you would have picked at the beginning of the game. And you can get more through this action here and through that action. You're going to place one of your meeples here. And this is, remember how I said it in the leftmost part here, this is going to be the little symbol for the black market being recycled. So that'll happen here and here. So that can happen there. And you see a little symbol there. When you do that, you can either build one of your buildings to help you out and put them out, or you can build the cathedral, and you'll just do what it says here. You'll have to discard one of these green cards, and you'll have to pay gold, and you can move up on that. Now you'll notice that there's less and less spaces. Only one person can be all the way up at the 20-point mark, so there's a little bit of a race. This is the track that indicates the end of the game. You'll notice that if you're playing with 3 players, it's here 4 or 5, so and 2's on the left. Okay, so once you also complete a cathedral, you'll get one of these scrolls. Now, in setup of the game, you're going to actually take 2 times the number of players plus 1. And you're going to flip that over, and you're going to immediately get that benefit. Like here, you're going to get 2 more of, I guess, the virtue track. The other things you could do in the game is you can go here and you can get some more of these cards to build more buildings. And you'll get 1 card, and then for every 2 workers you have here, you get another card. Or you could pay money to get some of these cards over here. And the more workers you have on here, the further down this track you can go. So if I have 3 workers here, I can get all the way to this stack. Once you purchase a card, this one slides over, another come in. So, and these workers, again, they'll give you benefits down the bottom. Sometimes they have immediate effects with this little lighting on here that happens. Like if you get this one, your virtues are going to go down 1. And you have the type of worker they are, so you can use that for the building the different types. So they have benefits. They could do conversions and stuff. They can do really cool things. So it's a really good idea to have a bunch of these in there and build buildings. And like I said, you're going to continue to do that until you fill up this track up here. And another thing that I mentioned that's a really good aspect, a really fun aspect of this game, is every time you pay taxes, they actually go here. So this part becomes more and more tempting to take all the tax money in here. So there's a couple different ways to make money, make points in the game, and it's really about, even though you have a ton of these little workers, managing your workers, making sure that you have enough. Because if you run out of workers and you have no way of getting them back because you placed them all out, your turn will involve picking one back. So you have to plan it a little bit carefully. If people capture all your workers, you can free them over here. by paying your 5 money, or taking one of these cards and losing a virtue. So there's a couple different ways you could do it. There's a lot of different places and ways to get points in the game. I really went over it really quick. I didn't go in depth on any of these spots on there, so I do apologize. It's just really so you get an idea of how to play the game in general. So let's go ahead back up to the table here, and I'll give you my final thoughts on Architects of the West Kingdom. So I really like Architects of the West Kingdom. It is a really well-designed worker placement game. Now, I don't consider this an entry-level worker placement game because the concepts on here are a little bit more difficult than, say, like Lords of Waterdeep, that I would consider an entry-level worker placement game. But it's not far from it. So it's pretty easy to teach. Its iconography is pretty straightforward. Once you get to know what those little red dots mean, tax, and the not on the coins, and then not ones mean you're just paying normal money on there, and how the discounts work if you go to the black market too much and you're down on the virtue track a lot. The game works fluidly. I really like how you can put more workers in an area and get more resources. It gives me like a feel from Stone Age, which I really love that game, except for in Stone Age you're rolling dice against your however many workers there, so you get more dice per worker and stuff. This one here, you just get the resources, or more of the resources, or more of the thing for having more workers there, which is nice. And also it gives this like push your luck sort of thing in the game, where you want to get more resources in this area, but you know your other opponents are like, wow, you're being a little greedy there, maybe I'm going to take your workers. And it's just great for that. It's just that adds so much player interaction into the game that it's great. A lot of worker placement games have the problem of you're just playing your own game, and you don't really care what other people are doing so much. And they might take a spot that you want to, but this game here, you really are paying attention to the other players. You're paying attention to how much wood they're getting. Like, wow, you're getting 5 wood a turn. I'm going to make sure you can't. And you can. And it's not like the end of the world when that happens either. So if you capture all their pieces on there, they still have like 20 some workers, so they can do other things. And if they're running low, they can retrieve them. But it's also nice when incentive on there, just take their workers to get a bunch of coins for yourself. So plus putting them in there, if you notice that the black market's going to recycle on there, you can punish them further by having those in prison when timing it right for when that fires off. So there is a lot of things to think of in this game. There is a lot of things that promote player interaction, which I really, really love in a worker placement game, without going over the top. So there's not like horrible take that in this game. It's just you can keep people from being too greedy. It's basically the best way of putting it. You can influence how the game flows, and you have a lot of outs for different things in the game, so it's hard to get in trouble. So that is my final thoughts on Architects of the West Kingdom. Great game for the next step of a worker placement game if you get your group into those. So thank you for watching.